All right, we're getting a brand new location in Marvel Snap that will go live Tuesday evening or Wednesday. It'll run for 2 days, and featured locations have a 40% more likely of showing up. Now, my personal opinion on featured locations, it is, I don't build decks specifically around them. What I do is I look at cards that work well and interactions that work well with this location, and then I use decks that have those cards, known decks, known archetypes that work well, that win when you're not having this location, because this location is not going to be there every time. So you want to have a deck that is going to work even if this location is not there. And so we've got a couple decks that we're going to talk about, but more importantly, we're going to talk about how this location works and what cards are going to be all over the place once this location goes live. Rickety Bridge. After each turn, if there's more than one card here, destroy them. And so you got to think about it. If there's two people on the bridge, it'll fall down, right? Or it'll move around and they'll get toppled, right? And so the idea is that, if you have a card there and your opponent has a card there, they both explode. So I feel that the main way that most people are going to deal with this location is by running armor. Armor is one of the most popular cards in the game. Easily a playable card, fits into a lot of different situations. 2 cost for 3 mana is always going to be good. A similar type solution would be Professor X. Professor X, you can drop that on turn 5. Typically, your opponent will probably be avoiding that location like a plague. You just play Professor X there, and that locks down the location, and then you win. Absolutely. Another card that I think is going to be very interesting there is going to be Colossus. And there's going to be a deck that works amazing with Colossus. Ongoing, can't be destroyed, moved, or have its power reduced. Turn 2, you place Colossus there, and basically they can't play any cards there. They'll explode, and Colossus will remain standing. I think this is going to be very interesting, but I do think that most people are going to be running armor. Another solution, which is always a solution for problematic locations, is to run cards that destroy the location. Popular cards that do that would be Storm, Scarlet Witch, Rhino, and Magic. My personal favorite is Storm. And, there's a Storm package where you play Storm on turn 3. On turn 4, you place a very strong card behind her, like Darkhawk or Jessica Jones, and then maybe also include in your deck a way of pushing power into that location from another place, a card like Doctor Doom. So this is going to be a very interesting card, and there will be people playing a lot of Storm as well as Armor. I think those are going to be the 2 most popular cards for this featured location. Some other interesting interactions I think that could possibly get used is Doc Ock. I just thought this kind of could be cute. Play this on turn 5, pull 4 random cards in your opponent's hand to the side of the location, and basically all 5 cards would explode, but you would be basically stripping your opponent's hand of any cards, and then you could, play death or something like that. I think Doc Ock is going to be very disruptive with this feature location. Probably my most anticipated and excited card that I really want to play is going to be Spider-Man. Spider-Man on turn 5. And so even if they have a card there, or if they play a card at the same time as you, both of them will explode and disappear. And then you'll be free to play a card on your side, even a 1-cost card, and win with Spider-Man. This is something that I'm going to try to take advantage, and that's going to be one of the top decks that I try out. Another way of winning is by pushing power into the location from adjacent cards, like Mr. Fantastic. Ongoing adjacent locations have +2 power. Another card that has a similar effect is going to be Claw. Location on the right has +6 power. Very situational. And then Omega Red. If you're ahead by 10 power, add +4 power to other locations. Maybe that's going to be a way of winning. If you could win the lane that Omega Red is in, win by a lot, and then you can get the 4 power in that open location. So, there's ways of doing that. Now, other cards that may have interesting interactions with this location would be Arrow. Arrow is just a good card anyways, but let's say, for example, you are ahead on turn 5 and you're winning the other 2 locations. Place Arrow into the Rickety Bridge, and then that'll draw the other 2 cards, the other cards that your opponent plays into that location, and then they all will be destroyed. Another card that might be useful, but I think Armor is going to pretty much override this situation right here. But if you place Bucky on turn 6, if your opponent does not play a card, then you just win. But if they do place a card, Bucky will explode, and then Winter Soldier will show up there in its place, and you will win the location. And then 2 other cards that I think are going to be interesting for sure in this location are potentially going to be Captain Marvel. At the end of the game, move to a location that wins you the game. And so the way that the Rickety Bridge reads is after each turn, there is more than 1 card here. Destroy them. And my understanding is that this will resolve last, and Captain Marvel will fly into that location, and she will win you the game. And then another card that doesn't see a lot of play, M'Baku. I don't think this is going to be something that happens, but I guess he could just randomly jump out of your deck. I don't think that's going to be a good solution. All right, so let's take a look at 2 decks that I think are going to be amazing, and the ones that I am going to try right out of the gate. The first one is a very well-known deck that got a lot of play, still a viable deck. That is Spectrum Destroyer. This has a ton of solutions for this particular location, and it is also a known archetype that wins. So we've got Armor. Armor is going to get placed all the time because that's just going to basically negate the location. Colossus, like I mentioned, you could just drop Colossus there on turn 2, and he will just stand there and hold the location. You also have Mr. Fantastic, which can be adjacent locations have +2 power. You can push power into that lane. That might be an excellent way of doing it. Then you also have Professor X. Yeah, turn 5, just drop and win the location. And all of these cards, or a lot of these cards, are ongoing. And so Spectrum kind of fuels this entire deck so that the ongoing cards get +2 power. So this is going to be the first deck that I try to do without a doubt. And it is a destroyer build. So basically you're trying to win 2 lanes and hoping that your one of your lanes is protected by Armor or Professor X. And then in the last lane, you just get 15 points from Destroyer. Cosmo also works. You can place Cosmo down first and then Destroyer on top of Cosmo. This is just, there's a lot of ways of winning with this deck. So I think that's going to be a very popular deck. Other one here is called what I call Toxic Zabu. And this is a Zabu deck that exploits Storm and Spider-Man and Absorbing Man. So the idea is that Storm can take care of the location. Then you could follow up with Dark Hawk to win the location, or White Queen or Reich Slide, or if you have to, on turn 6, you can Dr. Doom and one of the bots will fly into the location. And then when if Zabu's on the board, and ideally the play goes like this: Storm, turn 3, turn 4, Zabu, and then turn 5. Okay, so one lane is completely locked down. Turn 5, you have Spider-Man, and then you Absorbing Man the other lane, and basically your opponent is in a situation where all 3 lanes are locked down. Kind of tricky to pull off, but it's kind of frustrating though, because your opponent will retreat, but because they can't play, and there you go. All right, so what type of decks are you going to try on this location? I feel like this location is kind of annoying. I'm not really thrilled about this type of location. Basically it's a dead location that, you may or may not be able to play any cards into, or on the last turn, both you and your opponent are risking putting a 1-drop there just to see if you can if you can win the location or not. And I think that what most people are going to do is just run Armor, take whatever deck that you want to run, or that you're feeling at the time, and just put Armor in it, and you'll be good to go. All right, let me know what you think in the comment section. And as always, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming. Bye for now.